Hello and welcome. This is Olympus Mons with the Above Limits podcast. A couple days ago, I made a video about the situation happening with the MAGA bomber. That's what they're calling the man from Florida, Seminole Indian, or whatever exotic dancer, DJ, whatever the guy was that mailed all the bombs to different leftist or liberal Democratic figureheads. And I went through my approach on like tackling the subject was to basically just go through a bunch of CNN clips, because CNN was one of the people that the victims or whatever that received the fake bombs. They weren't real. They were literally a PVC pipe with a remote control wrapped around it with duct tape, and it made to look like a whatever. And I went through a bunch of CNN clips just to explain how, like, Donald Trump, opening with the video, I showed how Donald Trump responded in the presidential way that presidents respond to things. And supposedly, according to CNN and the other leftists, that's not good enough. Like, he has to call Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and say their names publicly. And if he doesn't, that means that, he's in favor of them having violence being perpetrated against them. But a couple days later, we have a guy who goes into a synagogue. I guess that's what it's called, synagogue, and a Jewish community center, and kill 11 people, injure 6 people, open fire. He had deep hatred for Jewish people. He was an anti-Semite. And again today, I'm going to play some of these CNN videos to explain how, like, my main point is they all the time are trying to blame Trump. That Trump sees none of this as his fault, all this division and etc. But then they go so far to be like only say Trump's side. Okay, Trump mere existence may cause people to be outraged and want him to do more than what he's willing to do, as far as like not tweeting and talking about fake news and stuff. But the main point that I have is that people like CNN, the leftist news networks, they don't take any blame themselves. They'll never blame their side for the division in the country. I mean, these are people that are constantly repeating over and over again how Trump's a bad guy, when they should be just telling the news. So, like, I'll give it for instance. Today I got in an argument with somebody over politics and political stuff, and he started like telling me, the guy started like telling me some like you can't use the word invasion to talk about the migrant situation, the migrant caravan. And like, literally, I just watch CNN, and every single video is basically saying that thing. So it's like, obviously, dude, you're like a CNN watcher. You're just, you know what I mean? It just goes back to my points that I've been telling people for a long time, that you're thinking you're trying to educate me on how I am incorrect, but you're just parroting leftist news networks. And that's my point to you. I mean, that's as far as I got to go with it, and explaining anything to you. So, uh, as far as the the guy that shot up the synagogue, the internet right now is fuming with anti-Semitism. I don't consider myself an anti-Semite. I don't. I'm anti-Zionist, but and I believe Palestine should be free, and I believe the government of Israel perpetrates a, a, a very good amount of oppression against the Palestinian people, which I'm very much against. But I have heard the new anti-Semitic, you know, people that they're well versed in their grievance against Jews, and they can put it in a way where it's very persuasive, and it's being fumed on the internet, and it's real, and it will cause people to be fanatics, but they're very good at talking about how Jews are globalists, the whole globalist definition of it being put onto Jews, you know what I mean? So it's I'm trying to think of how to explain it. They have a good point. Not saying that I agree with the point, but it's the fact that these guys are very educated on their grievance with Jews and their anti-Semitism. So, in essence, they're creating. They're able to persuade other weak-minded people into hating a whole group of people. I don't even know a Jew, to be honest. I'm from South Texas, and it doesn't. I mean, I could easily just fall into that, be brainwashed into that camp, and be like, you know what? And then I start spreading the ideology and reciting it. But then I'm like, well, why would I? How could I call myself an individual? How could I call myself a free thinker if that's what I'm going to do? And to me, the anti-Semitism and the white nationalist movement that's happening on the internet, in forums and in chat rooms and in vlogs and in all that stuff. To me, it's just another way to identify. It's another way to be like, I'm a white nationalist. Well, I'm a fucking transgender. Or I'm a homosexual, or I'm a LGBT, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's another way to identify yourself, which I'm so against labels. Like, you don't need to tell me what you are. Just don't fuck with me. And that's the way I think that we should go about this. And this guy that went off, he's part of these underground discussions about this, and the new spreading of anti-Semitism and Nazism, So, let me say this. Oh shit! I forgot what I was gonna say, but I'll just go ahead and try to repeat and see if I can get back onto it. On the internet, there are people that are in forums and having these discussions that are well versed in how to be an anti-Semite. And this guy was one of them. He was part of the ideology, and he flipped. He freaked out or got tired of it, and then became radical and terroristic. And one thing that I'm looking at, and I'll try to make this point. I believe I can, is that people are still blaming Trump about crazy man going postal. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like, how is it Trump's fault? And if CNN wants to be like, it's just a constant. It's propaganda. It's mind controlling the way they do this. And you know what's crazy is, like, we always knew Fox News did this. But then when the left lost their side, many people were turned off. They're like, man, y'all are turning into Fox News. And there's a reason why you scream at the TV. It's because it's your mind telling you that this is not right. This is not correct. And these people will not take any just what they say is so far-fetched and reaching, and they will not take any type of accountability for the messages that CNN is putting out also, and their blame for all the division in the country. And that's my point. And that's the reason why I make these videos, is to explain that. So this is CNN on Facebook. Facebook. On YouTube, this is their YouTube channel. So we're just going to go through some of these videos and see this one. Let's see this. Fox News anchor debunks. No. This one, I watched this one, so we'll watch a little bit till it gets to the part where I want y'all to really pay attention to what this is, where you can see they're they're talking about how Trump's to blame, and then they might talk about how maybe the news networks have something to do with this, with the division themselves, but then they just stick on the whole Trump thing. So here we go.
You know an underrated Halloween movie? Spookly, the Square Pumpkin. What does fall make you think of? Leaves changing color, Halloween, pumpkin spice lattes, delicious. For me, fall means the inevitable arrival of the October surprise, or in recent years, October surprises. For the uninitiated, an October surprise is something that happens in the penultimate month of an election that has the potential to change everything about that election. We spend 22 months covering how voters think about the country and themselves, and then, in an instant and with zero warning, one event or series of events changes everything. And
what is this shit? I mean, this is CNN right here. But what is this? Who is this guy? Like, so you're gonna talk about how there has to be an election that right at the end of the right before the election is about to happen and everybody goes to vote, there has to be something that happens that sways the election, that this is a calculated thing. I mean, you're talking as if this is a good thing. What the fuck is this? Really?
because these events happen so close to the actual election day, we should probably call it a late October surprise, they tend to have outsized importance on how people vote. We are a country of people with very short memories, so immediacy matters, and that's what makes an October surprise so powerful, and a March surprise, well, that's not a thing. Already this October, we have seen two surprises with real power to change the conversation going into Election Day 2018. First, we had more than a dozen pipe bombs sent to a variety of Democratic politicians, liberal donors, and, yes, CNN, allegedly by a man named Cesar Sayoc, who proclaimed himself to be a strong supporter of President Donald Trump.
Like, why is this dude, like, telling you all that? Like if it was, we know. It was, like, 4 days ago, or, like, last Sunday. You know? Come on, man. Why are we getting talked to like we're children watching Sesame Street? You know what I mean? I mean, think about it. I mean, this is what people watch and they learn from it. Like, I bet this dude doesn't even have pants on. Like, fuck this guy.
Then came the murder of 11 people at a Jewish synagogue in Pittsburgh, allegedly by a man who believed that a Jewish social service group was aiding the migrant caravan making its way across Mexico. Got all that? This was evident from just one of the many deeply anti-Semitic social media posts by the suspect. Now, both of those events drew massive media attention, and rightly so, and both immediately became political fodder. Donald Trump blamed Democrats and the media for creating the sort of environment in which events like this can happen, and I quote.
And that's where he goes, and the leftist news networks also, blah, 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 blamed it on Trump. You know, that's where that should have gone. If you're doing like real reporting on what the facts are, and it won't happen. So here we go. This is my point.
There is great anger in our country caused in part by inaccurate and even fraudulent reporting of the news, Trump tweeted.
We must unify as a nation in peace, love, and in harmony. The media has a major role to play, whether they want to or not.
Regardless of where you...
That's pretty accurate. It's not, what's wrong with what he just said? I mean, if we're going to do the blame game, I mean, might as well, be fair about it, right?
You lay the blame for these awful incidents. There's no question that the largest incident of political terrorism in decades and the single deadliest attack on American Jews in history is likely to unsettle the electorate. But what does all that unsettling mean in terms of actual votes?
Tell me why this dude's smiling. What's with the creepy smile? Can anybody answer me that? Like, it just doesn't make sense. See what else. Oh, here we go. So now that that's over, let's go to Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper had credibility when he was on ABC. Now he's just whatever he is.
It was then and is now a special part of this city and this country, and not just because of its Jewish population. You walk 3 blocks from here and you'll come to the local JCC, which is right across the street from the Sixth Presbyterian Church, whose members swung into action after the shooting here. Squirrel Hill is home to members of every major...
You see how he just like messed up? Could it be he's reading a teleprompter? Like his overlords are telling him what to say, and I don't know, could be.
Faith. It's home to medical professionals from all around the world who rush to the scene to treat the wounded or receive them at nearby hospitals. It's home just 2 blocks from here to the Zone 4 police station, whose officers risked their lives to save others. Some were wounded. It was home just a 5-minute walk from here to Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers himself, who once said at times like these, we should look for the helpers. This literally is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, as the mayor said to me. Squirrel Hill is a neighborhood of helpers. Tree of Life was and is and will be a congregation of helpers. Yet,
Now this guy looked like a little demon, like a little demon. I mean, look at them, the ear and looks like a little demon. It's like Pinocchio, you know what I mean? Like the more you just lie, the more you just look like a demon. Like, remember in Anchorman when he's like, "Fuck you, San Diego." Like, it's so maddening. The world we live in, it's all just backwards,
Saturday morning, in the building behind me, one armed man decided that the men and women worshiping inside were instead the enemy. A 97-year-old woman was his enemy. A husband and wife, married in 1956 and still in love, were his enemy. Doctor reached out to HIV patients when others looked away was his enemy. It's obvious to ask why someone would think like this, why someone would kill like this, but there is no answer to that question that ever truly makes sense or makes the hurt or the heartache go away. Today, the alleged killer made his first court appearance, and while, as we said, we're not going to be showing his face or saying his name, we will be taking a close look at what may have motivated him, and we'll do the same as well for the alleged serial bomber who also was in court today, even as another of his alleged package bombs turned up, again targeting CNN, this time in Atlanta, the third bomb sent to CNN. What both men have in common, along with their shared role in these horrible last few days, is antipathy for billionaire George Soros, who is a donor to liberal causes and a Holocaust survivor himself. He is Jewish and a frequent target of the far right, including some members of Congress. This is an Arizona Republican suggesting that Soros was behind the violence in Charlottesville.
And look at the background. George Soros is one of those people that actually helps, back these individuals. Who is he? I think he's from Hungary. I think he was Jewish, and I think he turned in his own people to the Nazis.
Well, keep in mind, that last bit, of course, is a lie and a slur.
There's audio of him saying that that's what he did. So I've heard it. It's not a lie and a slur. It's what he did. He belonged to like the good Jews, or the house Jews or whatever that in that snitched on other people and like had special treatment. You know what I mean? Like there's video of him saying that that's what he was.
More recently, things took on a new dimension when someone, it's unclear who, came up with the idea of building a different conspiracy theory around Soros, one linking him to the migrant caravan. Here's a tweet from Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. Quote, footage in Honduras giving cash to women and children to join the caravan and storm the U.S. border at election time. Soros, question mark? Let's investigate the source. There's no evidence to support that.
Oh, the teleprompter fucked up. Let's look at the title. Anderson Cooper calls out Trump. People are listening. Okay, so this was all broadcast on their station, right? So, like, I've seen the whole thing where they have like the really sad music in the beginning, and then you have Anderson Cooper pop up out of the TV. And starting with this whole thing, the beginning of, the sorrow of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, and there's a 93-year-old woman that got killed, which that's bad. People getting killed is very bad. God bless them and their souls, and may they go to heaven and be greeted by God and all that. But to me, this a little bit of exploitation of these dead men and women, and exploitation just for propaganda. And in a minute, all this is going to change, and the whole subject up to now, 3 minutes and 56 seconds in, is about the shooter. And now it's turning into a political thing. People are listening. People are listening that naturally have their brainwaves connected to this. You don't know what Anderson Cooper really believes. You don't know what Brooke Baldwin believes. They're reading a teleprompter. They're getting paid millions of dollars to just go up there and say something. I mean, you're gonna see a video in a minute of Shepard Smith and CNN praising him that he's calling out the claims of all the Fox News hosts and the Fox News and the Trump himself. But I mean, how many? I think that Allison Camerata used to work for Fox News. There's there's a couple more. A lot of the hosts that used to work for Fox News work on CNN, and I guarantee you that you'll see Shepard Smith, and he's probably a mole. He's probably getting paid to I don't know. He's probably like, hey, you know, your contract's almost up over there. Just say whatever you want to say. If they fire you, hey, you get paid. But when you're done, we'll go ahead and hire you. There's Shepard Smith. I guarantee you Shepard Smith will be over there. So let's turn back to the exploitation.
Insinuation, yet a day later at a rally in Montana, the president seemed to pick up on it.
The one thing, they stick together, but they wanted that caravan, and there are those that say that caravan didn't just happen. It didn't just happen. A lot of reasons that caravan, 4,000 people.
I thought we were talking about the shooting, and now we're talking about caravans. And let's think of this. Why are they giving a shit about caravans? Because they want to start some type of race war. There's a big debate amongst people that are here illegally, you know, that have kids that are here, that are citizens now, and you know, that whole thing, and they're upset. They're upset because Trump's changing stuff. He's not allowing things, you know, and think of that.
It didn't just happen, he said. Didn't just happen. A few days later, George Soros got a pipe bomb in the mail, and a few days after that, after calling for national unity, the president was chuckling along with calls to lock Soros up.
They're called globalists. They like the globe. I like the globe too. But we have to take care of our people. We have to. Globalists. Come on.
Trump's a character. But if you really want to know, the shooter at the synagogue, he said that Trump is a globalist. And that's a very key point there too, that in this anti-Semitic or these white nationalists or anti-Semites that are forming on the internet, their words exactly. We wrote Trump off a long time ago. When Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem and said that's the capital of Israel, they were done. They were done with him. So good try trying to blame Trump for this, but that's the God's honest truth, is that they wrote Trump off a long time ago because of his ties to Israel.
Now, the word globalist might not mean anything special to you, and perhaps it doesn't either to the president. However, to white supremacists and anti-Semites, the word means Jew and has for many years. Presidents have known this, which is why they don't say things like this. It clearly meant something to the alleged synagogue shooter who actually attacked President Trump for being, in his view, a secret globalist sympathizer, posting on the social media site Gab, writing, "Trump is a globalist, not a nationalist." He then went on to rail against Jews using a slur we won't use and the word infestation. His posting showed an obsession with George Soros, with the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, or HIAS, and a hatred for the immigrant caravan. So whether the president knew what he was saying, the alleged gunman certainly heard something that resonated, and this came on top of plenty of other scary talk from the president and others about that migrant caravan.
And the Democrats.
I can't watch that no more, man. I mean, it's back and forth. Caravan, synagogue, pipe. The pipe bomber. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Let's watch this one. I didn't get to watch this one all the way through.
To CNN's headquarters there. Authorities are sending pipe bombs to prominent Democrats and to CNN, making his first appearance in court. This comes as another suspicious package was intercepted in Atlanta today. This one was sent to CNN's headquarters there. Authorities believe it was sent by Cesar Sayoc, the same suspect behind the other pipe bombs. If confirmed, this would bring the total number of known packages allegedly sent by him to 15. CNN's Joe Johns is in Miami. And Joe, officials say that he had a Johnson's in Miami. And Joe, officials say that he had a list of more than 100 other potential targets. What more can you tell us about this list?
Well, as you know, this is very much about what we know and what we don't know right now, Jake. What we do know is, according to our colleagues here at CNN, he did allegedly have this list of more than 100 names of people he was targeting. That's according to the authorities. Some of those people received explosive packages. Most did not. We also know that there were indications of a package that came through the mail from over the weekend that ended up in Atlanta, in the post office, headed for our colleagues at CNN Center there. We also know that he was locked up on Friday, so if this is indeed the perpetrator, and if in fact he did put packages in the mail, then presumably by inference, the package mailing would have ended late Thursday night, early Friday morning. The last question, of course, is whether there are any other packages in the postal system. That right now is something the authorities simply cannot answer, Jake.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe Jones. Out front now, Jamie Benjamin and Daniel Aronson, the defense attorneys for the accused bomber, Cesar Sayoc. Jamie, let me start with you. Law enforcement officials telling CNN that your client had a list of more than 100 people to whom he intended to send packages. Is that true? And if so, can you tell us who's on the list?
We can't confirm anything like that. All we have to go on is the complaint that originated out of the Southern District of New York, where it alleges the original 13 packages and some evidence that they claim may tie our client to that. So the things that were reported today, the government has not shared with us, and we do not have any knowledge of it whatsoever.
Daniel, take a listen to FBI Director Christopher Wray laying out some of the evidence he says against your client. This is just a few days ago.
Based on their initial analysis, they uncovered a latent fingerprint from one of the envelopes containing an IED that had been sent to Congresswoman Maxine Waters. We have confirmed this fingerprint is that of Cesar Sayoc. There is also a possible DNA connection between samples collected from pieces of two different IEDs mailed in separate envelopes and a sample previously collected from Sayoc in connection with an earlier arrest down in Florida.
That's a lot of evidence. Do you deny that your client did this? Is he innocent in your view?
That is a lot of evidence.
No, it's two pieces of evidence. Two. That's not a lot. Two is not a lot. Two pieces of evidence is not a lot. Would you disagree or you agree? You disagree. Well, God bless you. And bless your heart. Because two is not a lot of evidence.
Well, first of all, it's not up to me to deny or to confirm or whatever you want to say. The bottom line of it is he's innocent until proven guilty. But as to the two pieces of evidence that you've referenced, the bottom line of it is in the criminal complaint, there's a footnote at the bottom of it that acknowledges that the fingerprint evidence has not confirmed, and it would certainly not be admissible in a court of law at this stage as far as proof of guilt. And as to the DNA, the word was possible DNA connection. We don't know if the possible DNA connection is 1 in 1,000,000, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 2 people. So as far as we're concerned at this stage, that is kind of flimsy evidence.
But just to drill down on this for a second, I know we're all innocent until proven guilty. Do you believe at this point, and I know it's way early, but do you believe that your client is ultimately going to plead innocent, not guilty?
He's going to plead not guilty at this stage. There's no reason for him to plead any other way.
Jamie, 2 law enforcement sources say he was building the pipe bombs in his van. They tell us they found soldering equipment, stamps, envelopes, paper, a printer, and powder inside your client's van. I don't know if you've heard that, been told that, but how do you explain it?
we're so preliminary into this case that, first of all, we have not been told that at all. The reports in the media and these things that have floated out there haven't been officially made part of a record or an allegation against Mr. Sayok. At this point, you know, we're criminal defense attorneys representing a gentleman that's been accused. He, of course, isn't guilty till a jury finds him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. It's hard to even process what is real and what isn't real when it comes to evidence against him at this stage. It's really less than 2 full business days into the case itself, and we were able to just meet with him briefly through a thick glass panel and a screen that you can't even see the other person on the other side of for a total of less than 15-20 minutes, and that isn't enough time to be able to digest or prepare or to be able to defend a person because we know so little. So it's early on. We're going to do everything in our knowledge and power and expertise to make sure his constitutional rights are protected and make sure the government meets their burden to prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, because at this stage he's innocent.
Daniel, I want to play for you what one of Sayok's former bosses, the one at New River Pizza and Fresh Kitchen, where he was a delivery driver, told out front. Take a listen.
He knew that I was a very strong supporter, very strong lesbian, very proud of my sexuality. But more than once he told me that if he had complete autonomy, I would burn in hell with all the blacks and Jews and Hispanics and everybody else. It was just the white supremacists that were going to rule the world. And unfortunately, he said, Deborah, as much as I like you, you're going to be the first one I burn.
Have you been made aware at all of his behavior and possible threats that he has made against his former boss or anyone else?
Well, first of all, I don't know anything about his former boss.
What the fuck was that? I mean, wow. Let's ruin, let's see. The title is Male Bomb Suspects Lawyers Speak Out. Okay. So that's the clickbait. That's what this is supposed to be about. And when they speak up, they're basically saying, well, the dude's going to plead not guilty, that he believes he's innocent. So what say you now? Is this the guy? I mean, are we going to act like, there's never patsies, there's never people that are falsely accused and made to look like they are accused of all these crimes? I mean, listen to what they said. There's 2 pieces of evidence that I mean, just if anything, go back to this part and listen to it again. What these two lawyers say, it makes sense. But when you at the end you bring up, well, he said that all blacks and Jews and lesbians they're all gonna die. Like, oh my God, that doesn't have shit to do with anything. You know what I mean? This man is stand accused of a crime, and there's a possibility he didn't do it. He's saying he didn't do it. His lawyers are saying he didn't do it. They're talking about the constitutional rights that they can't even talk to him. These 2 guys can't even talk to the guy. Because they only allow him 20 minutes. Like they can't properly defend this dude. It sounds fishy. Start thinking about stuff like that, man. It sounds fishy. We'll end this podcast with Shepard Smith. Let's see what this little man says. With the sad music.
Social media post by the man
let's play the
who
sad
police say
music
carried out a
again, 'cause we gotta get
massacre.
emotional. Sad music. Ready? Sad music.
Social media posts by the man who police say carried out a massacre at a Pittsburgh synagogue show that he was railing against what he called immigrant invaders. Now, that is language you have heard from the president and all.
No, it's what's in the news. It's what's in the news right now. So if you're the guy that's about to shoot up and you post on Gab, at some point in time, you might be talking about those immigrants. And if you think a guy that doesn't like Jews, that that wants supremacy, is gonna like immigrants coming in, and similarly like an invading army. If the word invasion offends you, you know what I'm saying? It's very similar to an invading army. So that's why they use the word invasion. This is what's in the news, people.
Also somewhere else, a whole lot. Let's get more from Brian Stelter.
The Pittsburgh shooting suspect's hatred of Jews merged with his hatred of immigrants to deadly results. He called migrants invaders, using the same dehumanizing language that's been saturating right-wing radio and TV.
This invading horde?
This is an invasion.
This is an invasion.
We may never know where the suspect heard these ideas or why he believed them, but we do know that the hate crime coincided with a rise in hateful language, from the InfoWars fringe to Fox's primetime lineup.
You have this invasion coming over every day.
Almost as soon as the migrant caravan formed in Central America.
It's a kind of invasion.
Fox News talking heads and President Trump made it out to be a major threat.
You do not have the right to come here. We did not invite you here. You cannot stay here.
Republican leader.
Where was Trump saying invasion? Why didn't they have a sound clip of Trump using the word invasion? I mean, they want to put him on there. I mean, why can't they have a clip of him saying invasion?
Leaders echoed this line.
We have to treat this as an invasion.
And look at the online reactions.
This is an invasion. This is an act of attacking the United States sovereignty.
Scroll down on any of these videos on YouTube, and the fire was raging, with commenters screaming about an invading army, even though the...
That's kind of the point of commenting on a YouTube video. Some people shit post. Other people put like what they feel. It's kind of the point.
Migrants were 1,000 miles away and fleeing danger. One voice on Fox tried to point that out.
The president has called it an assault on the U.S. border. It is absolutely not.
But his audience rejected that. Shep Smith reading a tweet from a viewer.
Sorry, Shep. We are not falling for your fake story. This is an invasion.
Was the gunman watching? We may never know. But the right-wing climate was full of outrage. 6 days before the shooting, the suspect wrote, "I have noticed a change in people saying illegals that now say invaders. I like this." In the past 2 weeks, the word invasion was spouted on Fox more than 60 times. And on Fox Business, 75.
And the American people are seeing these visuals on television every day, and they think of it as an invasion.
Combine that with the claims that Democrats were funding the caravan.
Another leftist-funded operation.
Laura Ingraham saying leftists were aiding and abetting. Congressman Matt Gaetz sharing a video saying people were being paid to storm the U.S. border. Soros is a favorite boogeyman of the right. He's a billionaire donor, and he's Jewish. Dark corners of social media filled up with conspiracy theories, and it spilled onto TV.
From the Soros-occupied State Department.
This Lou Dobbs guest blaming the caravan on Soros,
Man, I'm getting
calling to
bored of
mind
this
an
shit.
anti-Semitic trope about Jews secretly
What is
running the
Shep's-
government.
so
The
Shepard
suspect's
Smith-
final post on...
Shepard Smith's disapproval was like 10 seconds of the video, and you got 5 minutes of long,
Gab blamed a Jewish refugee group for bringing in invaders. Now, the Washington Post arguing that the conspiracy theory about Soros and the caravan inspired the horror in Pittsburgh. And Adam Serwer writing...
No, it's in the news. It's in the news.
In the Atlantic, saying Trump's caravan hysteria led to this. The president's reaction? He tweeted on Monday, "This is an invasion of our country."
Brian, what I'm so struck by is, do the president of the United
That lady used to work for Fox News.
States words matter or not? Let's just decide. So generally, up until 2016, we felt as a country that the president of the United States words mattered. But now the White House, and this is the
I don't need to hear that shit. It's so stupid. Fox News anchor debunks Fox host rhetoric. 10 seconds of the video. The rest is all about Trump. Trump isn't presidential. Trump isn't do the president stuff that we like, and he's not Barack Obama, etc. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Just ninny nanny boo boo shit. You know what I'm saying? So this has been the Above Limits podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Visit the website, theabovelimitspodcast.com. There's merch there if you like that stuff. Keep on watching, and we'll see you.